So Alison, it's an absolute honour to have you here at the Young Vic, particularly for those of us in the queer community who work and are part of the Young Vic. We're really, really overexcited, I think is fair to say.
I'm very excited too. I'm very honoured and happy to be here.
I'm intrigued to know who your first lesbian hero was. Mine was Audre Lorde. Yeah, I just felt represented by her, especially being a black lesbian. I was like, I see myself in you. So who was your first lesbian hero?
Well, I think of this one woman, Joan E. Byron, who was a photographer, and I was very influenced by her work because she was making pictures, taking pictures of lesbians and publishing them in books. And I'd never seen a picture of a lesbian. She had never seen a picture of a lesbian until she took a primitive selfie. And I just loved what she was doing, just taking pictures of these regular lesbians, all different kinds of women. And so she was kind of my hero, my role model.
Were there any other shows or novels or books that were particular influences?
In terms of coming out as a lesbian, no, there was nothing. You know, there were no lesbians. The first lesbian movie I saw was The Killing of Sister George. Have you ever seen that? Don't. That too is very, very dismal. But it was exciting just because I'd never seen a representation of a lesbian. I mean, that's so important, just to be able to see yourself, just to have a mirror of yourself.
I'd like to ask the question that I'm sure it's very difficult for you to go through an interview without having asked.
Oh, I know what it is.
Would you like to ask yourself the question? Can you tell us about the Bechdel test and how it became so popular, kind of the story behind it?
Okay, one day in 1985, I was in the early days of writing Dykes to Watch Out For, and I had a comic strip due, and I had no idea what I was going to do that week. And I had just had this conversation with a friend. We were talking about going to see a movie. And she said, well, you know, I have 3 rules about the movies that I see. 1, they have to have at least 2 women in them. The 2 women have to talk to each other about something besides a man. And I just thought that was brilliant. There were hardly any movies that fit those criteria. So I put that conversation just like verbatim into my comic strip. And then I forgot about it. But then years later, after the internet began, younger feminists somehow found that cartoon and felt that it somehow expressed ideas they'd been having themselves about filmmaking. I don't really know who started it or how, and it wasn't like I ever sat down and said, this is the Bechdel test. I decree it. It somehow just has gotten associated with my name. I think all those ideas are in like A Room of One's Own, for example. I think it's kind of a boiled down version of something Virginia Woolf said.
I guess I just wanted to sort of broach the topic of Pride, seeing as it's coming up to Pride in London. And I'm interested to hear about your first experiences of Pride and how you experience Pride now.
Well, they're very different. You know, my first Pride event was in New York City in 1981. And it was amazing. I'd never been around that many queer people. You know, that itself is a transformative experience when you are no longer just this one freak in the corner, but you're just like everyone else around you.
Alison, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and chatting with us. It's been so interesting to hear your stories, and I can't wait to see the musical. Thank you.